I met her on a Thursday. Not by chance. Not by fate. By my wife's design. The bar was one of those middle-tier places where people go after work to pretend the day didn't drain them. Dim lighting, decent beer, music just loud enough to give you an excuse not to talk. I was sitting at the corner of the bar, halfway through a burger I didn't taste, when she walked in. Blonde, late 20s, dress that cost more than my truck payment. She scanned the room like she was looking for someone specific, and when her eyes landed on me, she smiled. I knew, not suspected, knew, because I'd seen her before. 3 weeks ago, in a law office downtown, carrying folders and answering phones. She worked for Oliver Knight, the divorce attorney I'd been meeting with since January. Her name was Lynn, and my wife had just hired her to seduce me. The absurdity almost made me laugh. Almost. Instead, I took another bite of my burger and watched her approach. "Is this seat taken?" she asked, gesturing to the stool next to mine. "All yours," I said. She sat down, ordered a glass of wine, and turned toward me with practiced ease. "Rough day." "Every day's rough," I said. "You?" "Same." She smiled, tucking hair behind her ear. "I'm Lynn, by the way." "Nice to meet you, Lynn." I didn't offer my name. She didn't ask. She already knew. We talked. Nothing deep. Work stress, weather, the usual scripts people run when they're pretending to connect. She laughed at my sarcasm, touched my arm twice, leaned in when I spoke. Textbook flirting. She was good at it. And somewhere, my wife was probably watching. Maybe through Lynn's phone camera. Maybe she hired someone to sit in the corner booth. Didn't matter. The trap was set, and she thought I'd walk right into it. But here's the thing about traps. They only work if you don't see them coming. "So," Lynn said, swirling her wine. "Do you come here often?" "First time," I said, which was true. My wife suggested this place 2 days ago. Said a coworker recommended it. I'd nodded, filed it away, and told Oliver Knight the name. He'd laughed. Said his assistant mentioned getting a strange phone call about acting work. The pieces fell into place fast after that. "Mine too," Lynn said. "Fate, maybe." "Maybe," I said, taking a drink. "Or just good timing." She smiled wider. "I like your attitude." "Thanks. I've been working on it." She leaned closer, and I caught her perfume. Expensive. The kind my wife used to wear before she decided I wasn't worth the effort. "You married?" There it was. The question she was paid to ask. "Yeah," I said, no hesitation. "You?" "No." She paused, watching my reaction. "Does that bother you?" "Should it? Some guys get uncomfortable." "I'm not some guys." She bit her lip, playing the role perfectly. "Good to know." I finished my beer and signaled the bartender for another. Lynn kept talking, kept smiling, kept testing the boundaries. I gave just enough back to keep her interested, but not enough to cross any line that mattered. Because here's what my wife didn't know. I'd been planning my exit for months. Bank accounts separated. Documents copied. Evidence collected. Oliver Knight had everything ready. All we needed was the right moment. And she just handed it to me. "You seem different," Lynn said after a while. "Most guys I meet are either trying too hard or not trying at all. Which one am I?" "Neither. You're just here." That a compliment? "I think so." I smiled. Not the fake kind. The kind that happens when you're 3 steps ahead and nobody knows it. "I'll take it." She stayed another 20 minutes. We exchanged numbers. Hers went straight into my phone under a fake name, just in case my wife went snooping. We made vague plans to meet again, the kind neither of us would follow through on. When she left, I finished my second beer in silence. The bartender, a guy named Thomas with a sleeve of tattoos, leaned over. "Friend of yours?" "Something like that." "She seemed into you." "Yeah," I said, setting cash on the bar. She did. I drove home with the windows down, even though it was cold. The air helped me think. My wife would be waiting, probably pretending to read or watch TV, acting like she hadn't orchestrated the whole thing. She'd ask how my night was, and I'd tell her it was fine. She'd search my face for guilt, for cracks, for anything she could use. And I'd give her nothing, because the game was already over. She just didn't know it yet. When I pulled into the driveway, the porch light was on. I sat in the truck for a minute, staring at the house I'd be keeping when this was done. The house she thought was half hers. The house that was titled in my name alone, bought 3 years before we got married. I walked inside. She was on the couch, laptop open, wine glass in hand. "Hey," she said, not looking up. "How was your night?" "Fine," I said. Grabbed a burger, had a couple drinks. "Anything interesting happen?" I shrugged. Not particularly. You. Just work stuff? Sounds exciting. She finally looked at me, eyes scanning for something. You seem good. I am good. That's nice, she said, turning back to her screen. I went upstairs, took a shower, and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, Lynn would report back to whoever hired her. My wife would get her update, and she'd think she was winning. Let her think it. The papers were already drawn up. Oliver Knight had them in his office, waiting for my signal. One phone call, and everything would be in motion. But not yet. Not until she felt completely secure in her little scheme. Not until she believed she had me cornered. I closed my eyes and smiled in the dark. She wanted to test my loyalty. I was about to show her what loyalty actually meant. And it wasn't to her. The next morning, my wife was cheerful. Too cheerful. The kind of bright mood that comes from thinking you've got someone figured out. She made coffee, hummed while loading the dishwasher, even asked if I wanted eggs. I'm good, I said, pouring cereal. Thanks though. You sure? It's no trouble. I'm sure. She sat across from me with her own coffee, studying my face over the rim of her cup. Sleep okay? Fine. You? Great, actually. She smiled. I had the weirdest dream though. You were in a bar, talking to some woman. I kept chewing, didn't look up. Dreams are strange like that. Yeah, she said, still watching. They are. I finished breakfast, grabbed my keys, and headed to work. She stood in the doorway watching me leave, and I could feel her satisfaction from 20 feet away. She thought she had me. At lunch, I drove to Oliver's office. The building was downtown, one of those converted warehouses trying to look modern. His practice was small but sharp. He specialized in cases like mine, clean exits, minimal drama, maximum protection. His assistant, Lynn, was at the front desk when I walked in. Morning, she said, professional as ever. He's expecting you. Thanks. Oliver's office was organized chaos. Files stacked on every surface, 3 monitors on his desk, and a coffee maker that looked like it belonged in a laboratory. He was mid-40s, graying at the temples, with the kind of energy that came from winning. How'd it go? He asked before I even sat down. Perfectly. She bought it. He grinned. Lynn said you were convincing. Lynn was better, I said. She should get a bonus. Already planned. He pulled a folder from his desk. We got lucky. Your wife used her personal email to contact the acting agency. Lynn forwarded me the chain. She specifically requested someone who fit your type, whatever that means. Apparently blonde and forward. Noted. He slid the folder across. This is everything we have. Her texts with her ex from February. The credit card statements showing the hotel stays she claimed were work trips. And now, her attempt to entrap you with a loyalty test. I flipped through the pages. It was all there. Months of her checking out while pretending everything was fine. Months of me documenting, preparing, waiting. When do we file? I asked. Your call. We can go tomorrow if you want. Or we can let her dig deeper. I closed the folder. Let's wait. She's feeling confident now. Give it another week. You sure? The longer we wait, the more she might suspect something. She won't, I said. She's too busy congratulating herself. Oliver leaned back in his chair. You're colder than I thought. Not cold. Just done. He nodded. Fair enough. Lynn will maintain contact with whoever your wife is working through. If anything changes, we'll know immediately. Good. I left the office and went back to work. The afternoon dragged. Emails, meetings, the usual grind. My phone buzzed twice with texts from my wife. The first asked what I wanted for dinner. The second was a link to some article about trust in marriage. Subtle. I replied to the first, ignored the second. That evening, she made pasta. We ate at the kitchen table, same as always, with the TV playing some show neither of us watched. I was thinking, she said, twirling spaghetti on her fork. We should do something this weekend. Together. Like what? I don't know. Dinner out? Movie? We haven't done anything fun in a while. Sure, I said. Sounds good. She smiled, satisfied. Great. I'll find something. After dinner, she went upstairs to take a bath. I cleaned up the kitchen, loaded the dishwasher, and sat on the couch with my laptop. My phone buzzed. A text from Lynn. She called the agency again. Wants a follow-up meeting. Should I accept? I typed back. Yes. Same place, 3 days from now. Got it. I deleted the thread and put the phone down. 3 days. That would give me time to move the last of my personal accounts, transfer my tools from the garage to a storage unit, and make sure everything I cared about was separated from everything she thought we shared. My wife came downstairs an hour later, smelling like lavender soap, wearing the robe I bought her 2 Christmases ago. She curled up next to me on the couch, resting her head on my shoulder. "This is nice," she said. "Yeah, we should do this more often. We should." She fell asleep there, and I didn't move. Just sat with my arm around her, staring at the TV, thinking about how easy it was to fake comfort when you knew it was temporary. The next 2 days passed in a blur of routine. Work, dinner, small talk. She was affectionate in a way she hadn't been in months, touching my arm when she walked by, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, playing the role of devoted wife. It might have worked if I didn't know what she was doing. On the third day, I went back to the bar. Same time, same seat. Lynn showed up 20 minutes later, right on schedule. "Hey," she said, sliding onto the stool next to mine. "Fancy seeing you here." Small world. She ordered the same wine as before. We picked up where we left off, trading harmless stories, flirting just enough to make it convincing. I could see the bartender, Thomas, watching from the corner of his eye. Probably thought I was cheating. Wouldn't blame him. "You seem distracted," Lynn said after a while. "Just thinking." "About what?" "How strange life gets sometimes." She smiled. "Strange how?" "You meet someone in a bar. They seem great, but you know there's a catch." "Is there a catch with me?" "Isn't there always?" She laughed, genuine this time. "You're sharper than you let on." Survival skill. We stayed another 30 minutes. She touched my hand once, laughed twice more, and made plans to text. When she left, I finished my drink and paid the tab. Thomas leaned over. "Same girl as last time." "Yeah. None of my business, man, but be careful." "I appreciate that," I said, standing. "But I am being careful." I drove home with the windows down again, same as before. My wife was waiting, same as before. Asked about my night, same as before. "Fine," I said. "You?" "Good. I finished that project I was working on." "Nice." She watched me go upstairs, and I could feel her satisfaction growing. Let it grow, because in 4 days, Oliver Knight would file the papers. And all of this, every smile, every touch, every fake moment of affection, would be evidence of exactly who she was. Someone who tested loyalty while offering none of her own. I brushed my teeth, got into bed, and stared at the ceiling. For more days. Then she'd understand what it felt like to be played. The dinner invitation came on Saturday morning. My wife was in the kitchen, phone in hand, typing with purpose. She looked up when I walked in. "Hey, so I made reservations for tonight. That Italian place on 5th Street. 7 o'clock. "Okay," I said, pouring coffee. "Special occasion?" "Not everything needs to be special," she said. "Sometimes it's just nice to go out." "Fair enough." She went back to her phone, smiling at the screen. I wondered who she was texting. The acting agency? A friend she was updating on her brilliant plan? Didn't matter. Whatever she was planning for tonight, I was ready for it. I spent the afternoon moving the last box of my grandfather's tools to the storage unit across town. Old wrenches, hammers, things that mattered to me but meant nothing to her. She never asked about them, never cared. But they were mine, and I wasn't leaving them behind. By 6:30, I was showered and dressed. She came downstairs wearing a black dress I'd seen once before, at her company holiday party 2 years ago. Hair done, makeup perfect. She was trying. "You look good," I said, because that's what you say. "Thanks. You too." The drive to the restaurant was quiet. She kept glancing at me, like she was waiting for something. I kept my eyes on the road, hands steady on the wheel. The place was nice. White tablecloths, candles, the kind of spot where proposals happen. The host led us to a booth in the back, away from the crowd. Private. Intentional. We ordered wine, appetizers, entrees. She made small talk about work, about some shows she'd been watching. I nodded in the right places, asked the occasional question. Normal. Routine. Then, halfway through the main course, she set down her fork. "I want to talk about us," she said. "All right. Do you think we're okay?" I cut into my steak, taking my time. Define okay. Happy. Connected. Like we used to be. "Things change," I said. "People change." That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Do you still love me?" There it was. The setup. The question designed to trap me into either lying or starting a fight. "I wouldn't be here if I didn't care," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "That's not the same thing." "No, it's not." She sat back, Studying me. You've been distant lately. More than usual. Work's been busy. It's always busy. This is different. I took a sip of wine, let the silence stretch. She filled it, like I knew she would. I've been thinking a lot about trust, she said. About what it means in a marriage. Trust is important, I said. Do you trust me? Do you trust me? She blinked. Of course I do. Good. That's it. Just good. What else do you want me to say? She picked up her wine glass, fingers tight around the stem. I want you to be honest with me. If something's wrong, I need to know. Nothing's wrong. You're lying. Am I? Her jaw tightened. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're here, but you're not here. It's like you're going through the motions. I set down my knife and fork, meeting her eyes. You want honesty? Fine. We've been coasting for months. Maybe longer. And I think we both know it. So what do we do about it? That depends. On what? On whether we're both willing to put in the work, I said. Or if we're just pretending because it's easier than admitting we're done. She stared at me, and for a second, I thought she might crack. Might drop the act and just say it. But she didn't. She took a breath, straightened her shoulders, and smiled. I'm willing to try if you are. Then we'll try. Lie met lie. Performance met performance. The waiter came by, asked about dessert. She ordered tiramisu. I passed. We ate in near silence, the weight of unspoken things pressing down on the table. When the check came, I paid. We walked to the car without touching. She got in, buckled her seatbelt, and stared out the window. I'm trying, you know, she said quietly. I'm trying to fix this. I know. Do you believe me? Does it matter? She didn't answer. We drove home in silence. She went upstairs without saying goodnight. I stayed in the living room, sitting in the dark, phone in my hand. I texted Oliver. Tomorrow. File the papers. He replied in under a minute. Confirmed. I'll have the courier ready by 9 a.m. I deleted the conversation and put the phone away. Upstairs, I could hear her moving around. Drawers opening, water running. The sounds of someone getting ready for bed while pretending their world wasn't about to collapse. I stayed downstairs until midnight, then went up. She was asleep or pretending to be. I got into bed on my side, keeping space between us. She'd asked if I still loved her. The honest answer was complicated. I'd loved who she used to be. The woman who laughed at terrible movies and burned dinner without caring. The woman who stayed up late talking about nothing and everything. But that woman was gone. Replaced by someone who tested loyalty while hiding hotel receipts. Someone who orchestrated traps instead of having conversations. And tomorrow, she'd learn what happens when you play games with someone who's already 10 steps ahead. I closed my eyes and waited for morning. By 9:15, an officer would knock on the door with an envelope. By 9:30, she'd be reading the papers. By 10, she'd understand that the dinner wasn't about us. It was about giving her one last chance to come clean. One last opportunity to stop lying. She chose to keep playing instead. So now she'd deal with the consequences. I didn't feel guilty. Didn't feel victorious. Just tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of performing. Tired of being married to someone who saw love as a strategy instead of a partnership. Tomorrow would be chaos. Anger, tears, accusations. She'd call me every name in the book. Probably throw things. Definitely call her mother. But none of it would change what was already done. The papers were filed. The accounts were separated. The house was mine. And her little loyalty test? It was about to become the most expensive mistake she'd ever made. I turned onto my side, facing away from her, and finally fell asleep. For hours until everything changed. For hours until she realized she'd been playing chess while I was already at checkmate. Sunday morning started like any other. Except it wasn't. I was up at 7, showered and dressed before she woke. Made coffee, checked my phone, waited. Oliver confirmed the courier was on schedule. 9 o'clock sharp. My wife came downstairs around 8:30, still in her robe, hair messy from sleep. She poured coffee without looking at me. Morning, I said. Morning. She sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone. I could see the tension in her shoulders. Last night hadn't gone how she'd planned. She'd try to crack me, to get me to slip up, to give her something she could use. I gave her nothing. The doorbell rang at 9:03. She looked up. You expecting someone? No, I said, walking toward the door. The courier was a kid, maybe 22, holding a manila envelope. Delivery for the resident. That's me. He handed it over, had me sign, and left. I closed the door and walked back to the kitchen, envelope in hand. My wife was watching. What is it? Not sure yet. I opened it slowly, pulled out the papers, and set them on the table between us. She leaned forward, scanning the first page. I watched her face change. Confusion first, then recognition, then fury. What is this? Her voice was tight. Divorce papers. I can see that. Why are they here? Because I filed them. She stood, shoving her chair back. You what? I filed for divorce. Friday afternoon. You're joking. Read them if you want. It's all there. She grabbed the papers, flipping through pages, eyes wild. This doesn't make sense. We were just at dinner. We were talking about trying. You were talking about trying, I said. I was listening. You son of a... She stopped herself, breathing hard. When did you plan this? Months ago. Months. She laughed, sharp and bitter. You've been planning this for months and didn't say anything? Didn't seem like the right time. The right time? Are you serious right now? I stayed calm, leaning against the counter with my coffee. You want to talk about timing? Let's talk about the woman you hired to test me. The one at the bar. Lynn, I think her name was. Her face went pale. How did you? No. I smiled. Because Lynn works for my attorney. Has for 2 years. When you called that agency, they contacted her. She told me everything. She set the papers down, hands shaking. You knew. This whole time you knew. Every second. And you just played along? Seemed fair. You were playing games, so I played better. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Who are you? Someone who's done being manipulated. I wasn't manipulating you. I was trying to see if you'd cheat. I cut her off. You hired someone to seduce me so you could what? Catch me? Have leverage? Feel justified in whatever you've been doing behind my back. I haven't been doing anything. I pulled out my phone, opened the folder Oliver had sent me, and set it on the table. Screenshots of her texts. Credit card receipts from hotels during supposed work trips. Photos she'd posted and deleted. February 9th. Hotel downtown. You told me you were at a conference in Austin. She picked up the phone, scrolling through the evidence. You've been spying on me? I've been paying attention. There's a difference. This is insane. What's insane is testing someone's loyalty while hiding your own trail. She threw the phone down. So what? You're just done? No conversation, no counseling, nothing. We had months of chances for conversation. You chose to play detective instead. Because you've been distant for a year. Because you checked out long before I did, I said. You just didn't want to admit it. She stood there, shaking, tears starting to form. I can't believe you did this. Believe it. You're just going to throw away everything we built? You threw it away when you started lying. I'm just filing the paperwork. She grabbed her phone, hands trembling. I'm calling my mother. Go ahead. She dialed, pacing the kitchen. I heard the ringing, then a voice on the other end. Mom? He filed for divorce. Yes, this morning. I don't know. He won't. Can you just come over? Please. She hung up, glaring at me. You're going to regret this. Maybe, but I doubt it. I'll fight you on everything. The house, the savings, everything. The house is in my name. Bought it before we got married. Check the title if you don't believe me. She froze. What? 3 years before the wedding. Solely in my name. Your lawyer will confirm it. And the savings? Separated 2 months ago. You might want to check your bank statements. Her face went from pale to red. You've been planning this like some kind of operation. I've been protecting myself. From what? From this. I gestured at the space between us. From exactly what's happening right now. She grabbed the divorce papers again, flipping to the settlement page. You're offering me nothing. You're entitled to nothing. But I'm being generous. You get your car, your personal accounts, and your belongings. Anything we bought together, we split fairly. That's more than you deserve. Screw you. Already tried that. Didn't work out. She threw the papers at me. They scattered across the floor. I hope you're happy with yourself. I'm not happy, but I'm done. And that's close enough. Her mother arrived 20 minutes later. I was upstairs when I heard the door open, heard the crying start fresh, heard the voices rise. I stayed where I was, packing the last of my personal items into boxes. Photos from before we got married. Books she never read. The watch my father gave me that she always hated. Around noon, I heard them leave. The house went quiet. I came downstairs, picked up the scattered divorce papers, and stacked them neatly on the table. My phone buzzed. A text from Oliver. How'd it go? Exactly as expected. She signed yet? Not yet, but she will. Let me know if you need anything. Thanks. I sat in the quiet house, drinking cold coffee, thinking about the last year. All the small lies. The gaslighting. The nights she came home late without explanation. The way she'd accuse me of being distant while refusing to acknowledge her own disappearance. She wanted to test me. She got her answer, just not the one she expected. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Lynn. Heard the news. You okay? Yeah. Thanks for everything. Anytime. And for what it's worth, you handled it better than most. Practice. Still, she had it coming. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Outside, the sun was shining. Birds were singing. The world kept turning like nothing had happened. Inside, everything had changed. And for the first time in months, I could breathe. The call started that afternoon. First her mother, then her sister, then friends I barely knew. All of them with the same script. I was unreasonable, cold-hearted, throwing away a marriage over nothing. I let them go to voicemail. By Monday, she'd hired a lawyer. Some guy named Alan from a firm downtown. He called Oliver's office, tried to negotiate, threatened to drag things out. Oliver listened, took notes, and calmly explained that there was nothing to negotiate. The house was mine. The accounts were separated legally. The evidence of her behavior was documented and time-stamped. Alan hung up frustrated. Tuesday morning, I was at work when she showed up. Security called my desk to say I had a visitor. I knew who it was before they finished the sentence. Tell her I'm in a meeting. She's insisting it's urgent. It's not. Tell her to contact my attorney. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from her. We need to talk. Face to face. I deleted it. Another one came through. You can't avoid me forever. I blocked the number. Wednesday, Oliver called. She's trying to claim emotional distress. Says you blindsided her, that she had no warning. She had months of warning. She chose to ignore it. That's what I told Alan. He's grasping. They don't have much to work with. Good. One more thing. She's asking for spousal support. I almost laughed. On what grounds? She's claiming she sacrificed career opportunities to support the marriage. She works full-time. Same job she had when we met. I know. It won't hold up. But expect her to push. Let her push. Thursday, I was leaving the gym when I saw her car in the parking lot. She was sitting behind the wheel, watching the entrance. When she saw me, she got out. We need to talk, she said, blocking my path. No, we don't. Please. Just 5 minutes. Call my lawyer. Stop hiding behind him. I stepped around her. I'm not hiding. I'm moving forward. You should try it. She grabbed my arm. You can't just walk away like this. I looked down at her hand, then back at her face. Let go. Not until you listen. Let go, or I call the police. She released me, eyes filling with tears. You've changed. You're not the man I married. You're right. I'm not. That man would have let you keep playing games. This one won't. I made a mistake. I know that now. But we can fix this. No, we can't. Why not? Because you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices. And now you're dealing with the outcome. I was scared, she said, voice breaking. Scared that you didn't love me anymore. That's why I did the test. You were scared, so you hired someone to seduce me instead of just asking? I didn't know how to ask. You knew how to lie, how to hide, how to manipulate. But asking a direct question was too hard. She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. I mean it. I'll do anything to fix this. There's nothing to fix. It's over. Just like that. Just like that. I walked to my truck and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I could see her standing there, watching me leave. Friday morning, the signed papers arrived at Oliver's office. She'd fought until the end, trying to change terms, but Alan finally convinced her to accept. The house, the clean split, the closure. It's done, Oliver said when he called. Final hearing is in 30 days. After that, you're free. Thanks. You okay? Yeah, I'm good. I hung up and sat at my desk, staring at nothing. It should have felt like victory, or relief, or something definitive. Instead, it just felt quiet. That weekend, I drove out to the storage unit and started sorting through boxes. My grandfather's tools, old photos, things I'd packed away to keep them safe. I found a picture of us from the wedding, both smiling, both young, both convinced we'd figured it out. I studied her face in the photo, trying to remember what I'd felt that day. Love, probably. Hope, definitely. The belief that we could build something lasting. We'd built something, just not what either of us expected. I put the photo in a box marked keep and kept sorting. Sunday night, I got a text from Lynn. Heard everything's finalized. Congratulations. Thanks. Couldn't have done it without you. Happy to help. You deserve better. Appreciate that. You seeing anyone yet? I smiled at the phone. Too soon. Fair enough. But when you're ready, let me know. I know people. I'll keep that in mind. I put the phone down and looked around the house. My house. No more shared space. No more walking on eggshells or pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. Just silence. Clean, honest silence. I thought about what she'd said in the parking lot. That I'd changed. That I wasn't the man she married. She was right. The man she married would have accepted the test, the lies, the manipulation. Would have stayed because leaving felt harder than staying. But that man was gone, replaced by someone who knew his worth, who understood that love without respect wasn't love at all, who chose peace over performance. I grabbed a beer from the fridge, sat on the porch, and watched the sun set. In 30 days, it would be official. No more wife. No more marriage. No more pretending. Just me, the house, and whatever came next. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. The test she'd designed to prove my loyalty ended up proving hers instead. Or rather, the lack of it. She played the game perfectly, right up until she realized she was the only one playing. I raised my beer to the empty street and took a drink. Checkmate. 3 months later, the divorce was final. I got the notification via email while sitting at my desk. Simple, clinical, done. No ceremony, no drama. Just a legal conclusion to what had ended long before the papers were filed. I forwarded it to Oliver with a simple, thanks for everything. He replied with a thumbs up. That evening, I grilled dinner in the backyard. The house felt different now. Not empty, just mine. I'd rearranged furniture, repainted the guest room, fixed the loose step on the porch I'd been ignoring for 2 years. Small things that added up to forward motion. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, then saw the preview, heard the news. Hope you're doing well. I didn't recognize the number, but I could guess. I replied, doing fine. You, good. Just wanted to check in. Appreciate it. No more messages came. I put the phone away and finished my steak. A few weeks later, I ran into Lynn at a coffee shop downtown. She was with a client. I was grabbing lunch. We nodded, exchanged brief smiles. Professional. Clean. She'd played her part perfectly. Got paid well for it. Moved on. Just like I had. People asked sometimes how I was doing. Co-workers, friends, family. I gave them the standard answer. Good, staying busy, moving forward. And it was true. I didn't miss her. Didn't miss the tension, the games, the constant wondering what was authentic and what was performance. I missed the idea of what we could have been. But ideas don't keep you warm at night or make you coffee in the morning. Actions do. Truth does. Respect does. She tested my loyalty and found it solid. I tested hers and found it missing. The difference was, I didn't need a hired actress to figure it out. I just needed to pay attention. And now, sitting on my porch with a beer and a sunset, I was glad I did. The game was over, and I'd won by refusing to play.